Norris. Good to see you this morning, Mr. Norris. And can I start with that breaking news this morning? 2,200 migrants have crossed the English Channel in the past 10 days alone. Unprecedented numbers, 10 straight days of crossings. I mean, border security is in crisis. You have broken your promise to smash the gangs.
No, that's not fair at all. We've inherited a broken legacy. We've inherited
You've had
record
8 months.
levels of net migration. We're taking actions that will bear fruit. We've done more returns. As you know, significant numbers of return, 19,000 people, 3,000 foreign criminals. We've done four of the biggest deportation flights that we've seen for very many years. We're of course working on the continent to smash the gangs. That was going to be work that took time to bear fruit. You've had the French Interior Minister saying that Britain is taking back control. That's what we're doing. It will take time to bear fruit. It is a huge priority, and that's what we're working on.
OK, Alex, you said it will take time to bear fruit. Can you just give us a slight ballpark figure as to how long it will take for us to see some effect from some of the so-called smashing the gangs policies and the things that your government are doing to deal with the problem?
Well, I know that GB News viewers have had from the previous government ministers one after one come in front of the cameras and make grandiose promises that they didn't keep. What I'm saying is we're going to keep our borders secure. Our long-term actions are going to pay off, and pay off soon. I don't want to give a date or a number to that.
Rough idea?
The right thing
Just
to
a rough idea, 6 months, a year? I mean, people hear you, they say, OK, fair enough. You blame the other government, that's fair enough. But just a rough idea of how long it's going to take for us to see some result from the policies that you've put forward?
Well, what I can say is it's a crucial underpinning of our plan for change as a government. It's something we're working on every day. And, as I say, they can already see the actions that we've made with regards to deportations. Under the previous government, there was a 70% fall by the end in processing of applications. We've reversed that virtually entirely. So, those are real things that have happened in the here and now and will bear fruit.
So of the over 2,000 people now, that breaking news this morning, that have crossed the Channel in the past 10 days is a Palestinian man called Abu Wadi. Now, there's a lot of concern about this man because he has previously called for the slaughter of all Jews and is a former key member of a militant group that has terrorised Israel, allegedly. Do you know about his alleged extremist background, and do you know where he is?
Well, I can't comment on that individual case. I can say, though, that the Home Office take any threats exceptionally seriously. Our intelligence services work very hard to detect as well. That's what they'll be doing, but I can't say any more on that specific case.
Right, and that's always the case, isn't it, that the Home Office says they can't comment on individual cases. But in instances like this, is it time to break that protocol? Because when there's public interest in a case like this, public concern, public anger, this is a man that's calling for a death to all Jews. Clearly, it's not in keeping with British values. Does he need to be arrested? Does he need to be deported? Can you comment on that?
I can't comment on the individual case. I can say that, we are concerned that there are gaps in legislation that mean that people can do harmful things outside and before that they come to the country that sometimes our legal framework doesn't cover. So we're looking at how we can use our Borders Bill, which is going through Parliament at the moment, in order to close that loophole. But that fundamental principle, I know people want to know that we're keeping them safe. That fundamental principle is that is the top priority. So of course we are. And where there is changes needed, we'll make those changes.
Alex, do you know where he is? That's what we're asking. He's currently streaming things live on online. I don't know whether you've seen any of it. But do you actually know where he is? Does the government know where Abu Wadi is?
Well, as you'd expect, just as we don't share intelligence on the news, it's not shared automatically across government. It's not.
But that's just a yes or a no. I mean, you can say yes or no to that. Yeah. You could say yes or no, and then that would be it.
Well, I don't see what. But I'm afraid I won't be saying that.
OK. All right. Well, should we move on to some of the planning? Should we talk about some of the planning that you're dealing with? Because you are tightening the laws, but you're making it easier, actually, for people for developers to build and all those sort of things. I'm just wondering, what are the main real problems for planning? Have you spoken to any of the planners as to why permission isn't granted for certain things? What's the main reason?
Yeah, I mean, we have the building of 1.5 million homes is an absolute anchor of our plan for change. So we talk to, as you'd expect, everybody in industry about how to change that. One of the themes that comes back is the need to slimline the planning process. That's why we've made the changes that we've made to the policy framework. That's why we're making the changes we're announcing today. I think viewers would be surprised that more than 24 organisations can put a blocker on development. Sorry, I'm just losing my ear here. Can put a blocker on development, and it leads to this extraordinary case in Bradford where multiple years on, nearly 140 flats that could have been built haven't been built because there's a disagreement between Sports England and the developer over the speed of cricket balls. That is clearly not a planning system that works. That's why we're slimlining it in order to make sure it is. There are protections, of course, through that framework for sports fields. That's enough. It doesn't need this extra check.
OK, Alex Norris, we're out of time with you this morning, I'm afraid, but thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
There was one other question I had from...
I know, we never get enough time.
Because what he's saying is, I mean, I wanted to know, because the real problem actually is developers holding brownfield sites. So that is why they're not building so much on things, because the developers are holding onto these sites for years. And I'm wanting to know whether they're going to address that, because that is where a lot of the land has been held, not because councillors and people are saying, we don't want pylons next door. It's actually they've got lots of land, but the developers are holding on to it.
Now, let's have a look at that breaking news this morning. At least 150 migrants have crossed the Channel illegally this morning alone, in an unprecedented 10th day of small boat crossings.
So that takes the total who have crossed since the 1st of March to more than 2,200.
Well, a third small boat is currently in the Channel and making steady progress towards British waters. Well,
joining us now, GB News Home and Security Editor Mark White. Mark, what more can you tell us?
Well, we can confirm that that third small boat did, as expected, make it to UK waters. Those on board have been taken on board a Border Force vessel and is now, as is now routine, that Border Force vessel is heading for Dover Harbour to the Border Force Processing Centre there with those that they've taken off that small boat. So that will take the number well in excess of 150 again for today. It's taking it close to 2,300 since the 1st of March, the past 10 days, an unprecedented 10th straight day of arrivals at this time of year. And the reason it's so unusual is because of the weather at this time of the year. We expect it to be stormy in the channels. And although, it's been a bit better weather-wise, it's still not been ideal. The conditions have still been tricky. But I think what this shows us is that there is no sort of let-up in the number of migrants out there and people smugglers willing to push them across the channel, even though this smash the gangs policy has been in place for some 8 months now. It doesn't seem to be having any discernible effect on the numbers trying to cross the channel.
Big questions about who is crossing the channel as well, Mark. Great concern about this man, Abu Wadi. What can you tell us about him?
Well, Abu Wadi, as far as we can tell, is in the UK now. He's been streaming on his social media site from his hotel room. So if he is under arrest by the authorities, clearly he's not been taken to any kind of custody centre. He's still got his mobile phone there and able to stream. You heard that from the government spokesman. They are not willing to comment on individuals, except to say that, of course, the security services are always monitoring on individuals who could pose a potential threat. But it may be that in the coming hours and days that we do get some kind of an acknowledgement from authorities that this person has been taken into custody, because there are exceptional circumstances here. There's a great deal of concern that someone who it's alleged has made some very serious threats against people from Israel and Jewish people in general, who's been seen posing with automatic weapons, who has given a speech alongside the former head of the terrorist group Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, who was killed last year by the Israelis, that individual could be in the UK. And indeed the Conservatives, under the shadow spokesman, the Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, has said that this man, Abu Wadi, should be detained and removed from the country at the earliest possible opportunity.
Mark White, thank you very much. He's our Home and Security Editor here at GB News. GB News. Well, we've contacted the Home Office for comment, and in a statement, this is what they had to say.
We are committed to ending small boat crossings which undermine our border security and restoring order to the asylum system to ensure that the rules are respected and enforced.
Whilst it is a long-standing rule that we never comment on individual cases or operational matters, the British public can be reassured that we take all steps necessary at all times to protect the nation's security.